Welcome to This Explainer. Let's jump right in because today we're unpacking a genuinely horrifying case. We're looking at what happens when absolute, hardcore skepticism collides head-on with something completely unexplainable. It's a literal descent into madness, the descent into Room 333. Prepare yourself, because this isn't your average ghost story. It's an anatomy of psychological terror and the total collapse of a rational mind. I mean, think about it. What actually turns a highly logical professional journalist into a screaming victim, literally smashing her own face into a shattered bathroom mirror, all in the span of just one night? It sounds impossible, right? Like something out of a movie. But to figure out how our protagonist got trapped in this bloody nightmare, we need to rewind. We have to track the exact steps from complete confidence to total psychological breakdown.
Section 1. Legend of Room 333.
Okay, to really grasp the horror here, you have to understand the dark lore surrounding the antique Langham Hotel in London. It's a luxurious place, but Room 333, it is notoriously bad news. The legend goes that decades ago, a doctor and his wife checked into this exact room for their honeymoon. But instead of a romantic getaway, it ended in unspeakable violence. The doctor brutally murdered his wife, specifically by smashing her head, and then he took his own life. The stories say that ever since that gruesome murder-suicide, his tormented, malevolent spirit just wanders the halls, tethered to that room. So right off the bat, we are dealing with a space steeped in heavy, violent energy.
And that sets up our core conflict perfectly. On one side, we have Annie. She's a 25-year-old British journalist. She's incredibly logical, entirely evidence-based, and makes her living debunking fake hauntings. She travels the world exposing paranormal hoaxes. On the other side, we have Room 333, a place defined by irrational historical bloodshed. Annie's plan was super simple. Spend one night, record the room, prove it's just another fake story, and go home. She was armed with modern tech and absolute certainty. But, yeah, she had no idea she was about to face the absolute most terrifying experience of her life.
Moving to Section 2. A skeptic checks in.
Almost the second Annie arrives, the modern world she relies on starts slipping away. The red flags are immediate. She's in this plush lobby, but when she mentions Room 333, the receptionist's welcoming smile literally freezes. She goes pale, stammers an apology, and forces the smile back. Unsettling, right? Then, in an era of digital hotel keycards, Annie's handed a heavy, old-fashioned brass key. When she gets to the third floor, it's like stepping back in time. The bustling hotel vibe is just gone. The corridor is dead empty, lit by dim, yellow wall lamps casting creepy shadows. And when she finally grabs the polished brass handle of Room 333 at the end of the hall, it is unnaturally, shockingly cold. It's almost like the room itself is already rejecting her presence.
Section 3. The Midnight Setup.
But Annie is completely methodical. She steps into the pitch black, flips the lights to reveal this grand Victorian room with a massive antique mirror, and immediately gets to work locking the space down. Step 1, place the tripod. Step 2, mount and focus the camera to cover the room. Step 3, connect and test the mic. She is systematically surrounding herself with technology. To her, that camera is an objective witness that's going to prove there is absolutely nothing to fear in Room 333.
Her evening timeline actually starts out totally normal. It's November, so it's a bit chilly. She orders a sandwich, eats it on the sofa, lights a small fire in the fireplace, and just scrolls the internet, researching the hotel's sightings. Camera rolling, mic hot. Eventually, the calmness lulls her and she falls completely asleep. But then, late at night, the timeline violently shifts. She is jolted awake by a sudden, sharp knock at her door.
Which brings us to Section 4. The Gruesome Delivery.
Groggy and confused, she hears another knock, and a man's voice says, "Your room service, madam." Now, remember, Annie ordered a sandwich hours ago, and she already ate it. Figuring it's just a mix-up, she walks to the door and looks through the peephole. Standing out there in the hallway is a butler, holding a silver tray covered by a large, heavy metal lid.
She opens the door and politely tells him she didn't order anything, but he insists it's her order. He reaches down, lifts that heavy silver lid, and resting right there on the platter is Annie's own bloody, severed head. I mean, just imagine that. It hits her with the force of a physical blow. She screams at the top of her lungs, slams her eyes shut in pure panic. But when she opens them a split second later, nothing. The butler is gone, the tray is gone, the hallway is completely empty and dead silent. Obviously, she slams the door shut and locks it. She sprints to her equipment because she needs proof of what just happened. But here's where it gets truly horrifying.
Her technological safety net completely fails her. The camera, memory card is inexplicably corrupted. The voice recorder, it only caught the sound of the door opening and her own frantic screams. The microphone picked up absolutely zero knocking and no voice from the butler. Everything she used to anchor herself to reality has been neutralized. She is utterly isolated.
Now we hit Section 5, the doctor in the mirror.
It is exactly 1 a.m. And despite the fire still physically burning in the fireplace, the temperature in the room drops off a cliff. It becomes freezing, this icy chill that sinks right into her bones. Trying to get her racing heart under control, Annie goes into the bathroom to splash cold water on her face. You know that feeling? Washing your face, taking a breath, looking up into the mirror? Well, standing right behind her in the reflection is a man. He's in torn, filthy Victorian clothes. His face is literally rotting away, and he has these impossibly long, sharp nails. It's the murderous doctor from the legend. And in the glass, his decaying hands are slowly reaching up, aiming straight for her throat. She spins around, but just like the hallway, the bathroom behind her is empty. The panic is absolute breathless terror now. She realizes her life is in immediate danger. She grabs her bags to run, but the heavy wooden door refuses to open. It's locked itself from the outside. Suddenly, all the lights in room 333 start violently flickering, and in those strobing flashes, she sees him again, this pale, rotting figure with glowing yellow eyes. Except now, he's not just an illusion in the mirror. He is slowly, deliberately walking toward her out of the darkness. Completely trapped, Annie just starts screaming frantically for help.
Which leads us to our final section, a lingering nightmare. Down the hall, the hotel staff hear these blood-curdling screams. They rush over, force the heavy door open, but the reality they find inside is worse than any ghost sighting. Remember the lore? The doctor murdered his wife by brutally smashing her head? Well, when the staff broke in, there was no Victorian ghost, no pale man with yellow eyes. They found Annie completely alone, but she was screaming, holding her own head, and violently smashing her own face into the shattered glass of the bathroom mirror. The shards were cutting into her. The staff had to physically restrain her as she thrashed and fought, completely out of her mind, until she finally passed out. The entity didn't just scare her, it infected her mind, it bypassed her logic and forced her to reenact his brutal historical crime on herself.
Annie woke up later in the hotel's medical room. She survived physically, yes, but she will never ever forget room 333. Which leaves us with a deeply unsettling question to end on. When logic completely fails, when your technology goes utterly dark and your own senses turn against you, who is really in control when you step into a haunted room? It's a chilling reminder that some things just cannot be explained away by a camera and a microphone. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.